Hey everybody, I'm Julia Bird and I'm a college admission essay specialist. And I wanted to take about 20 minutes to tell you everything you ever wanted to know about the college admission essay, or at least what I can fit into that 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. When I'm talking today, I'm going to cover a couple of main points: what the college admission essay is and isn't, why college admission essays are still a really important part of your application, why they're not really optional, even if a school may say it is, and when students, particularly juniors, should start working on them. So first, let's talk about what the college admission essay is. This is also known as the personal statement, and you'll hear them referred to interchangeably. And it's about 650 words, and students are responding to a really broad prompt within their application portal. There are 4 main portals that you might be using when you're completing your college applications: the Common App, Coalition App, Apply Texas, and the University of California. Now, each of those portals does have its own set of unique essay prompts. And the good news is that even if you're applying through each of those different portals, the prompts are so broad that you will be able to repurpose these longer essays between the portals. So the essay you write for Apply Texas can also be the essay you use for the Common App. Now, what's the purpose of these admission essays? Well, in a predominantly database application, your college essays are going to offer a more data point for the admission officers to consider. Almost think of it like a written interview. These essays are your opportunity to show your personality, your voice, and what you're going to bring to the college community. It's also going to be a good way for you to set you apart from other students with similar academic profiles. Now, I love this quote from the Duke University's Dean of Admissions. "We have the luxury of choosing the interesting students from among the smart ones." And yes, everybody does have an interesting side. We just need to find it for your essay, and it's not as hard as you might think. So when admission officers are reading your application and they get to your essay, they're hoping to answer these questions, among others. Who is this person? What are they interested in? What do they like to spend their time doing? What have they learned from their experiences? What is this person going to contribute to our campus? Can I see them living and thriving and contributing to our campus? Can this person write? What has happened to them, and what impact did those experiences have on them? What have they learned? How have they grown? Does the essay clearly show a student's characteristics, values, and what they're going to bring to the table? Now, when we get to the part where you're applying to colleges, a lot of your application is pretty well set, right? Your grades and ranking are set. Your test scores, ACT and SAT scores, are pretty well fixed. You've joined all the clubs you're going to. You've probably taken on or been elected to all that you're going to be able to. The one thing that you still have control over the summer after your junior year is that college admission essay. And you want to take advantage of that because that's your opportunity to show who you are outside those 4 corners of your application. And it can make a big difference when you're being compared with your peers. Let's consider this scenario. Our area has 2 main high schools, Lake Creek and Montgomery. So if both these students are applying to Texas A&M, they have pretty similar academic profiles. Similar GPAs, SAT and test scores, activities, leaderships, rankings. So how on earth is an admission officer going to differentiate these 2 students? Of course, one, but not the only important way, is going to be their admission essays. So seriously though, how much is the essay going to matter in my application? Now, of course, the answer is it depends. It depends on the college and your application. It depends on if you're applying to highly selective schools. Now, the most amazing essay is not going to get you into Harvard if the rest of your application isn't competitive. But oftentimes, the essays can tip the scales in your favor when everything else is equal. Now, as schools become test optional or test blind, essays may increase in importance when it comes to helping admission officers evaluate and select right fit students. Because let's face it, competition is increasing. For example, the Common App reported that as of January 2023, application volume has risen 24%, up to 5.3 million applications. The average number of applications submitted has gone from an average of 4 to just slightly over 6, and 17% of applicants are applying to 10 or more schools. Now, you may be asking, but what if the essay is optional? Or maybe I'm an auto admit to my top school. Do I still have to write the essay? I know you want to say no. You want me to say no. But yes, I encourage you to write that essay, even if it's optional, even if you're an auto admit. Again, the essay is your opportunity to showcase who you are and to set yourself apart from other students with similar academic profiles. Any data point you can give these admission officers can work to your advantage, even if you're an auto admit. In some cases, schools will admit you to the school, but not necessarily your major. Your essay can help tip the scales in your favor that you'll be admitted into your top major. Of course, you also still want to look in front of admission officers because they may use those essays to determine scholarships or even honors college placements. Plus, a great admission essay may often be successfully repurposed into scholarship essays. So let's just say it again. If you're wondering if a well-written, well-thought-out essay with a unique approach to a topic really can make a difference, the answer is yes. So what does an admission essay even look or sound like? Now, students are used to writing standard 5-paragraph essays where they have to defend a thesis and prove a point, but luckily they have a lot more flexibility when writing the admissions essay. Now, the admission essay should be a story that's not going to be found anywhere else in your application. It should be a story that sounds like the student and reflects their personality. That can be funny, it can be serious or vulnerable. It can be on a lighthearted topic or a serious one. What's important is that it's written in the student's voice, not their parents, not their English teachers, not their essay coaches, not what they think an admission officer wants to hear. It should sound like a 17 or 18-year-old student experienced and wrote it. So here's the great news. You really, really can write about almost anything. A challenge, an experience, a lesson, a person, a thing, a hobby, totally up to you. Whatever helps an admission officer get to know you and what you have to offer. That's your topic. It doesn't have to be a huge life-changing event. You don't need to have found a cure for cancer or saved a baby from a burning building. Some recent great essay topics I've had with my students: a love for tie-dyeing shirts and what those colors meant to them, what a student has learned from escape rooms, what I've learned from keeping up with the Kardashians, learning to ride a bike as a 16-year-old. Is Tropicana orange juice orange or is it really yellow? Should I prepare for my wakeboarding competition or help my community clean up after a hurricane? Now, despite that flexibility, here's what personal statements shouldn't be about. They shouldn't be a rehash of your activities list or your application. It shouldn't be a research paper or really formal sounding. It shouldn't be a story focused on someone other than the student. I also caution students about writing about common topics like moves, sports, including injuries or winning or losing the big game, about mission trips, death, and divorce. And the reason I caution students about those topics is they tend to be common. Lots of students experience them, and it can often be harder to stand out with those topics. It doesn't mean you can't write about them. It just means you may want to give a little more thought about your unique experiences. Religion, politics, and other controversial topics are ones you should consider avoiding. You don't know who's reading your essay and reviewing your application, and you don't want to give the admission officer a reason to say no to you. You may also want to avoid any unresolved mental health issues. Admission officers want to know that you're ready and prepared and eager to take on the rigors of college. Now, again, this doesn't mean you can't write about these topics. You just need to be more mindful of the story you're telling and look for those ways to stand out. Now, what other essays might you have to write? Yes, you might have to write other essays. Now, these supplemental essays can run from single-word essays to sometimes even 1,000-word essays. Some of the more common ones you may experience are, why us? Why do you want to come to our school? What are the programs, the activities that you're eager to participate in on our campus? Why major? Why do you have a love of a particular field of study, and what are you hoping to do with it? What's an extracurricular activity that's important to you? What have you learned from that? How has it helped you grow? Is there a particular person who has influenced you? How has what they've done changed how you act and go out in the world? There are even some off-the-wall topics. University of Chicago is famous for some of theirs. Recent ones were, is a hot dog a sandwich? Or what advice would a wisdom tooth give? Some other common supplemental essay topics are, imagine you could create a college course on any topic. Share the syllabus for that course. Write a letter to your future roommate. And again, these essays are an opportunity to show a different side of you and to connect who you are with why you belong on a campus. So I know you're thinking, give it to me straight. How many essays am I really going to have to write? Now, of course, that's still to be determined, but here's an idea. Now, I'm located in Houston, and a lot of my students are applying to UT Austin and Texas A&M. So for the class of 2023, UT Austin had 4 required essays. That was 1 main and 3 supplemental, and they also had 1 optional essay. A&M had 3 required, 1 main, 2 supplemental, and 1 optional. And the engineering applicants have an additional required essay. So some students can easily have 10 or more essays to write. But here's the good news. You can repurpose your essays. Many schools will have similar or the same prompts to respond to. And you can often use either the same or essentially the same response, as long as you're addressing the prompt. So juniors might be asking, when do I get started with essay writing? You want to get started the summer after your junior year. You don't need to do anything until the summer after your junior year. Essay prompts for the main portals will be released sometime in the spring. They usually don't change drastically, but sometimes a new prompt may be swapped in or wording might be slightly tweaked. If you want, you can get a head start by just looking at the essay prompts for the current year before the new ones have been released, just to get an idea of what you might be writing on. You can even start a notebook of ideas, jot down hobbies, experiences, unique things about you that could potentially become an essay topic. Now, I strongly recommend that students take a few weeks off at the beginning of the summer to decompress after their junior year, but then start the applications and essays in earnest over summer break. Is it fun? No. Will you be glad to do the writing over the summer without the distractions of senior year events, activities, and schoolwork? Absolutely. Now, if you're juniors, here's what you can be doing now or soon, depending on when you're listening to this. The spring of your junior year, start to think about letters of recommendation. Who might you ask? I would suggest considering 2 core teachers and 1 elective teacher to write letters of recommendation. Work on your resume. I have a template on my website. Those are great to give to teachers, and they're also really helpful when you're filling out your college applications. You can also finalize your college list. You can even create a Common App account now to explore what the portal looks like and do research on schools. Make sure you have a binder with important college-related information like service hours, honors and awards, work experience, and accomplishments within your extracurriculars. Apply for scholarships even. It's not too early. Even students in junior high can apply for scholarships. But again, this summer, the summer after your junior year is when you want to start researching and writing your essays, gathering your documentation for applications. Once those portals open, start applying. Make sure you submit all the supplemental documentation that's asked of you. Now, I know you probably still have questions. Now, when it comes to the essay, plenty of students write and submit their essays with no outside help. There are plenty of amazing resources online, or they can ask trusted teachers or adults for help. I offer workshops over the summer and even support a limited number of students on an individual basis. But I also have a number of great resources listed on my website. It might even help for you to read samples of admissions essays. You can find plenty online, but remember to take them with a grain of salt. A lot of times, those that get published are often exceptional students applying to the most competitive schools. So don't compare your essay and your writing with anyone else's. Still have questions? Feel free to send them my way. We can connect on any of the platforms here, or feel free to send me an email. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope this kind of eases your mind on what the college admission essay is and how to get started with it. Talk to you all soon.